But the floor here, you know, as we were talking about last week, if I drop something, it's no big deal because it's not going to burn.
Right.
It's mostly soot and ashes, dirt anyway. So.
And then, like you said last week, the stone or the brick is for those heavy machines.
Yeah, for like a wheeled vehicle, a wagon, or something would roll in here much easier than it would be setting on the dirt. And then the horses seem to fare better on a wooden platform.
And then these would be to tie the horses up?
I don't know, I suppose, yeah, probably things keep the horse in place so he wouldn't change his mind and go out the door.
There's a third one over there. Okay.
One thing, it's not very well organized. We've got a lot of stuff in here. It's not really functioning, and it seems that almost it's like a storage, but I would imagine that's pretty typical of a blacksmith shop. It just keeps coming, and
You've got all these
you never
projects.
get time to really organize it. Hey, there's a box I never noticed before. Is that something somebody brought in there?
I do not know.
Huh. Well, that's not too far from what I was thinking as just a utility box to put stuff in underneath the table. Well, in terms of the fire, you saw what I did light it. It's still pretty cold. But we would do the same thing on this side. Except with this, we've got the old bellows, which is, I think, is more, that dates back to much earlier times. But the bellows is a two-part bellows. So that as the chain that we're pulling goes to the very back on the bottom leaf of the bellows. And when I pull this down, it pulls the bottom up, which causes the top to inflate. Because there's a hole and a valve between the top and the bottom, between the top here and the middle. So when I squeeze the first section, it blows air into the top. And then this weight,
yes.
which is about a 100-pound block of steel, will cause the bellows to slowly go down, but it blows into the fire pit here. So instead of having a crank to blow on to get oxygen into the coal, use the bellows. We don't have to keep turning it. But it does produce quite a bit of air to the fire. Joe likes this side much better than the blower here. Back there on that table, we have a lot of, very hard to see, but we've got a lot of tools that go into the anvils. And a lot of these are owned by, the members of our blacksmith guild. But something like this, if I wanted to, I think that fits in this one. If I wanted to make sure I had something nice and round, I could pound it around that solid piece of iron there. But the difference is in the anvils. This is called the hardy hole, and this one is a little less than an inch. So that fits in here. But that one, the hole is much smaller. And so we've got some smaller tools required for that.
Hardy hole, H-A-R...
H-A-R-D-Y, I think.
Okay.
And I've not yet figured out how that got that name. No, that's too small. This one would fit in here.
And what would that do?
Okay, in this one, if I had a larger piece of metal, I could hammer it into that shape or make a taper. We call that a swage block.
Swage, W-A, or
W
S-W-A.
S-W-A-G-E.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'll take some better pictures of these later.
Now I've got some blacksmith books and stuff that maybe I should have brought those.
Those would be interesting to look
it
through.
identifies and names a whole lot of these different tools.
That would be very helpful if I could get some copies
But
made
like
of it.
These blocks here, these are swage blocks.
Oh, okay.
So I could hammer a wide piece and make kind of a ladle out of it, or here's a spoon shape. And then if I tipped it up, I could get a much larger scoop or whatever shape I was trying to achieve. And then around the perimeter is a lot of other different shapes. And then here's some that's much larger.
So instead of putting
Probably
those
bigger.
on an anvil, they would sit on.
Because this actually just replaces the anvil as far as hammering something down to a size that you want. These have been beaten on pretty heavily, but there's, to make a little shovel like I was using to load the coal.
Would you put these on maybe just a stump to use?
Oh, just like we've got it here.
Yeah, okay.
But these are kind of hard to find. Every blacksmith had these things.
Mm-hmm.
But then in World War II, when the effort to get the steel to build the war implements and so forth, everybody and his brother was donating this stuff to the scrapyard so that they could support the troops. And a lot of this stuff just disappeared, never came back, because after the war it was all industrialized.
Right.
A blacksmith was pretty much out of work as far as doing what they used to do. Couldn't keep up with the competition of manufacturing. So these kind of went by the wayside. They became door stops, steps to the porch or whatever.